So, spoiler here, but I can't really avoid spoiling it. She gets hit with an arrow during a confrontation with natives. The arrow goes through her stomach and it pierces her liver. And so her dad is caring for her, right? She's lying down, she's in really bad shape. It makes kind of an abrupt movement. And her father, who's leaning over her, kind of goes, hey, slow down. And then says, quote, "They cauterized the outside of you, but time is the only thing that can stitch the inside." And I wrote that down immediately. Beautiful quote, right? Obviously referencing her wound in that scene, but I think also referring to the wound this whole thing would leave on her father's heart, whose instincts were correctly suggesting that she wouldn't make it much longer. And she didn't. And I think in our world, to put it simply, there are always two things at play. The things we have control over and the things we don't. The action that we can take now and the subtle patience that exists under the surface. In the example, you can attempt to close or cauterize the outside of the wound. You can monitor it for infection, you can rest, you can do all the things. But what happens inside, well, that was beyond them. And in both loss and in times of growth, I often find myself frustrated with that dance. When it's lost after losing something or someone, you can engage with new stimuli. You can attempt to refocus, spend time with people that light you up. You can certainly put yourself in position to move on. That's great and it's helpful. But we also know that the heart won't move on until it's ready to move on. There are sort of two parallel tracks existing at once. And so you have control, certainly, but how much? And then with growth, you can do all the right things. You can work long hours, you can plan, seek out efficiency, commit to consistency, and all of that is critical. But that exponential growth curve requires time, days, and often a large accumulation of them. There are the unexpected occurrences, the curveballs, the stepping back to leap forward, epiphanies. And so using the same metaphor, you have control over the outside. It can be cared for, and it should. But in the same metaphor, if the inside is a mere representation of time, and that which is beyond our control, there's a necessary trust and patience required. Perhaps the term should be aggressively patient. When I first started doing this in 2014, I heard a speech from Les Brown where he mentioned the bamboo tree, and it came at a time when I needed it most. When I was acting and the wheels were turning and life was spinning, but the results were minimal at best. What makes the bamboo tree special, what Les alludes to, is that it takes years and years for that tree to emerge from the ground. But when it does, it basically shoots up immediately, right? Overnight, rapidly. And so it appears like it comes out of nowhere, but there's a world of change happening underground with each tick of the clock. And so the farmer has to tend to the soil and water it and commit to its daily maintenance. Well, the rest of the world sees nothing, right? They look on and think that he or she has lost their mind. But that farmer's merely juggling what he can control with the faith in that which he cannot control. Because in all likelihood, There will be a point when the bamboo breaks through the Earth's surface and makes a break towards the sky in stunning fashion. This is somewhat of a different lens. That's what I want this to be, a different way of looking at the world, because so much of the time we focus, and I certainly do with these videos, on the things that we can control. Often what we do is mind-blowing, right? What we're capable of. We are powerful beyond imagination. But I tell you, the older I get, and the more wisdom I'm able to acquire, true strength seems to be knowing how powerful you are and, big and, marrying that understanding to the fact that sometimes, no matter what we do, that clock must tick. No matter how hard we march in a particular direction, our hearts must heal on their own. No matter how fast we build or how consistently we show up, the destination requires 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 20 trips around the sun until we get what we set out to capture. That reminder is everything.